What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Pokemon Ninja Nation. And today we'll be looking at a deck which just came up from the Origins Win-A-Box tournament, and seems like a pretty good deck to play for US Nationals, which is coming up in a week. So it's fairly close, and this seems like a pretty good deck to play because it counters a lot of the top decks. So this deck is Darkai Giratina Garbodor, and it I believe 4 of them topped for the Origins tournament, and then from there it just went on and exploded. So we're going to take a look at this deck and see why it's so good. So we have our main attacker in Darkai EX, and it has the attack Dark Pulse. This attack does 20 damage more for each dark energy attached to all your Pokemon. So you can attach dark energy, and also in this deck double dragon energy, which count as 2 energy when attached to a dragon Pokemon. And with this you can just do a bunch of damage with Dark Pulse. So like 1 double dragon energy attachment is 40 damage, and then 2 to the active, that's 60, and then 40 is already 100 damage with just 3 energy attachments. So that's extremely strong. So Dark Pulse is the attack you're going to be going for. It's your main attacker in the deck, and Dark Head's not that good of an attack since we only do 80 damage in this deck. We're mainly going for more Dark Pulse. Now it's a little better. There's some ups and downs. It's not like Yveltal, where they count for both active and your Pokemon, your opponent's active and your Pokemon, but you could spread out your energy. So if you get knocked out, you still have a bunch of energy in play to still do more damage. So just losing 2 energy with Darkai EX is really good because we can still have energy on the field and take continuous knockouts. Next up, our other attacker in the deck, we have 2 Giratina EX. Really good for the Chaos Wheel to stop our opponent from playing tools, special energy, and stadium cards. Also dealing 100 damage, so that's extremely strong. It's really good against Night March and Mega decks because of its ability, which can prevent damage from Mega Pokemon. For example, Mega Rayquaza just won Canadian Nationals in the Master Division. There is Mega Skeptile, there is Mega Manectric, so a bunch of decks going around which are Mega Evolution. So Giratina is not bad at all. Next up, we have 1 Yveltal EX. You mainly want to run at least 1 Yveltal EX in any deck you are playing Dark Energy, just because Evil Ball is so strong. You can do 20 for each energy attached to both active Pokemon, and Water Cyclone, moving in energy and dealing 90. Extremely strong card, really helps in the fighting matchup because we do have that resistance while Darkrai has that weakness. So a balance of types. Next up, we have 1 Baby Yveltal with the Oblivion Wing. This is just really good for energy acceleration, and Darkness Blade can deal 100 damage, and if we flip tails, it can attack during our next turn. Still really good. If we put a Muscle Band or Fury Belt on, we can knock out a Shaman too with Darkness Blade. Next up, probably the key thing in the deck, it's a 2-2 Garbodor line. And this shuts off a lot of decks in the standard format. Right off the bat, Greninja. It just completely blocks Greninja's Giant Water Stroke. It's not completely an auto win, but it puts the matchup in your favor. Then we have Trevenant. If you have a Trubbish Floatstone turn 1, evolve into Garbodor turn 2, you can still use your item cards, which is amazing. That's what Trevenant is. You can shut off Shaman then in the later game against decks like Night March and Water Toolbox. You can shut off their Manaphy. So most of the format right now is ability. So Garbodor is a great card to play because we just shot off the main 4 decks: Night March, Greninja, Trevenant, and Water Toolbox. So right there, Garbodor covers 4 decks. So if anybody else can figure out a deck and splash in a Garbodor, I think it can do pretty well. Then we have one Hydreigon EX, and this is very drastically different from a lot of other people's list. So we have the ability Dragon Road. We're not going to be using that much because we might develop Garbodor quite a bit, but it's also good for giving us a little less retreat cost. But Shred is the main attack we're going to use. We're going to do 80 damage, and we're going to hit through that Jolteon EX. We're going to hit through any effect. It's not affected by anything, so we're just going to hit through anything. You might say Latios is a better play, but I just like this overall because Dragon Road can help a lot at some points. Let's say you got Lysandered and you have to waste 2 double Dragon Energy, then that's a horror for you. You lose 80 damage right there. So Hydreigon EX, I like it a little bit better, doing 80 damage and just hitting through anything. Also really good for Jirachi. Next up, we do have the 2 Shamans. Just set up, draw cards, pretty standard. Then we have one Escape Rope to help us against Jolteon. It's still really good, either or not against Jolteon. We can just Escape Rope and put our opponent into an awkward position. Next up, we have probably one of the cards that makes the deck possible, Max Elixir. We can look at the top 6 cards of our deck and get a basic energy from there, attach it to a bench basic Pokemon. So Max Elixir can just load more energy on the field and make our attacks do more damage. So we run 4 of this card, trying to max it out. Next up, we have 4 Trainer's Wheel. Consistency, just grabbing Sycamores, Max Elixirs, VS Seekers, all around, just a really good card. Next up, we have 4 Ultra Ball, search for a Pokemon, pretty standard. 4 VS Seeker, we use our supporter cards again, pretty standard. Then we have 1 AZ. If we're damaged, we can just AZ something up and heal ourselves. Also, because we have quite a bit of stuff to get energy back on, we can AZ pick up maybe we Oblivion Wing one turn and we don't have a way to retreat. We can just AZ up that Evital and then start attacking. So AZ just a really good card for healing and just picking stuff up which are stuck. Next up, we have 1 Lysander, bring up one of our opponent's Pokemon. Really strong. There should be 1 copy of this in almost any deck. Yeah, pretty standard. Then we have 2 N for some nice shuffle draw and destruction. 4 Sycamore, raw draw power, best supporter in the format. Then we have 2 Parallel City. Now I really like this card. It can help in a lot of situations. So number 1, we can choose which way this card faces. So we can put the red side to us and limit our opponent to 3 bench Pokemon, or we can put the blue side to us and making our opponent do 20 less damage from their water, fire, and grass Pokemon. So of course, right off the bat, you think water toolbox, I decrease their water attacks, and that's great. You have the Garbodor to shut off the Manaphy. You have the Parallel City to make them do less damage. So it's just a great card overall. Dumping your Shamans is also really good. Mostly we're going to limit our opponent to 3, but it can also be nice making our opponent do 20 less damage. Next up, we have 1 Fighting Fury Bolt just to do have 40 more HP and do 10 more damage. Pretty standard. 2 Floatstone for Garbodor and just retreating in general. 2 Muscle Band to do 20 extra damage. Then we have 4 Double Dragon Energy and 10 Dark Energy. I really think that you should go for the full 10 here. I don't think you should go for less. 10 to 12. So you can hit consistently with Max Elixir. People are already not only running 9, which I feel is a big mistake. So make sure you go from like 10 to 12. There is one card I would like to change in this deck, and that would be I think, cutting a Parallel City. And the one card I want to add in the most is a Hoopa. So we're just going to add in a Hoopa right now. We're going to take out Parallel City because it's not that helpful. It's just good to, for that one time, removing our Pokemon. And now we can play Parallel City and remove our Hoopa. So one Hoopa, Scoundrel Ring, searching out 3 of any EX Pokemon is extremely strong. So we can just grab Darkrai, Giratina, Evitar, Darkrai, Giratina, Shaman, Darkrai, Hydreigon, Giratina, Evital, Shaman, Giratina. So there are a lot of combinations you can do with Hoopa. You can grab a bunch of stuff. You could fill up your bench 4 right there and then have one spot open for that Trubbish. But that's the deck, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys again in the next video. Bye.